when they are consuming your minds and your thoughts and your dreams, from the angels to the demons and to the mysteries unseen, there is no need to worry. There is no need for dread. It's just time to discuss the thing at the foot of the bed.
Evening, and if you're just tuning in, you are listening live to United Public Radio Network, otherwise known as UFO Paranormal Radio Network, and this is The Thing at the Foot of the Bed. I am one of your co-hosts, Lorilei Potvin, and I forgot to mention you're listening on 107.7 and 105.3 out of New Orleans, Louisiana. We've already got people here. Hi, guys. We've got Zach Man, we've got Sandra. I will introduce the amazing David in just a sec, just a few housekeeping things, and I'll let you know a little bit about me. I am a Canadian clairvoyant medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher and mentor, and a registered nurse. Now, we are on Roku. We are streaming on Roku this show. Right now for the month, we're going to try it out. Dave and I, we were given the go-ahead to do it. So we'll see how the numbers come through. Hopefully you guys can watch us on TV. So if you want to find us on Roku, it's under our network channel. There's quite a few shows over there that you can check out. But what you have to do is you're going to sign into your Roku account. You are going to then go to the channel store, look up UFO space P as in paranormal. There's a list that'll come up. I believe we're at the third or fourth down, and you're looking for UFO space paranormal and United Public Radio, and that's us over there. I do want to remind people, because I get this message quite a bit from people, and they go, oh no, I missed your shows live. Speaking of shows, also forgot to mention on Monday nights, I do the Angel Rock from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't worry, guys, there is always a replay of every show backed up on our YouTube channel, my YouTube channel for my show. Never mind the fact on Facebook, there's a replay, and anywhere where talk radio and podcasts are carried. On to you, Dave. I've talked long enough.
Hey, how's you doing? How you doing, Lorilei? I'm David Hanzel. I'm a spiritual medium, clairvoyant, angel channeler, and guide channeler as well. I also have another podcast outside of this called Mystic Stew. I make about 2 to 3 episodes a month, and it's not live. It's pre-recorded, and it's short form. So if you have a short attention span, it's probably the podcast for you for quick information. Other than that, I am wearing, Lorilei, a shirt. Look at that shirt. This shirt I had found a little right kind of when I got out of the coma, and I don't know where it came from, but I've been wearing it ever since. So since 2015, 16, and this thing is about to fall apart. It has been washed so many times. It's got holes in it, and I'm leading into it, Lorilei. It's like somebody cursed my shirt.
Oh no. Well, before we jump into whom you thought maybe might have cursed your shirt, I will say hi to everybody. I tried to highlight you. Like I said, hi to Zach Man. We've got Sandra Sharp. We've got Lisa Campbell, The Spirit Experience, who is David over on YouTube, and Michelle Pratt, and she's all the way over in Australia. So if you want to join in the chat and you're listening and you want us to see you and you can ask questions and interact like all these lovely people here, please head over to UFO Paranormal Radio, either on Facebook or YouTube, and we will see your comments. Now, I do believe if they go to your channel too, Dave, The Spirit Experience, as well as my channel, it's the Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. I think you can just look up the Angel Rock. I don't think anybody else. Was it you that was telling me that, Dave, or it was somebody else was telling me that?
I think you could just type in Angel Rock and you come up.
Okay, so
you can watch on Facebook, you can watch us on YouTube, you can watch us all kinds of.
Yeah, but then we can see their comments. That's the main thing, right? You want to join
I love Michelle's first comment here, which is the shirt is a representation of life. Well, it is, because if you look at it this way, like myself, it's just hanging on, and it's still comfortable, and it still works for me. So I'm going to hold on to it and I'll probably start sewing it pretty soon, but I just love this shirt. And since it's a thing at the foot of the bed, we decided to wear more of our pajama-y type stuff. And
That's right.
where I am, it's about 80 degrees, and it's really quite warm in Canada where Lorilei is. So
I have a sunburn from sitting outside, and I have dark skin. I don't usually burn. Hey, Keith Ottersberg, nice to see you. I will give Keith a quick shout out. He was on my show, The Angel Rock, a couple of weeks ago. We had a great conversation. So glad to see you here. But you were saying, Dave.
Yeah, tonight that was just a little funny thing, but we and Lorilei and I get a lot of things about people who they'll book appointments or do this and that because they were told that they are cursed or they have a curse on them. Now we'll get into our opinions later. And I'm going to say that if these are our opinions. These are from what we have learned throughout our years of doing this. If your opinion differs, that is okay. That is always okay. But we thought we'd address this because we've seen a lot of people getting scammed from that word curse.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell them about what you received, Lorilei. Just a couple.
Okay, so I would never give away anything anybody has said to me, whether it's in a reading or you contact me privately. I would not do that, and neither would Dave. I know for myself, it's come from being a nurse. I hold confidentiality in the highest of esteem, we'll say. So somebody contacted me, and they weren't on my friends list, and normally you don't answer, but I kind of heard Spirit say, check this out. So I did. And we had a pretty good conversation, but this individual was feeling like they're blocked psychically, if you will, and spiritually. And they gave me a bit more information, but believe it was done by somebody that's a First Nations individual, as well as part of the witch community. And they feel very, very blocked. So we had a lovely conversation about it. From snow to sunburn in 2 weeks? You're darn right, Sandra Sharp. It's been crazy. It's like summer came in with a vengeance. So back, and Michelle said fake sunburn from the fake sun. I don't know. It was pretty hot. I'll take it. I don't care if it's fake or not. It was awesome. But back to this with the curse. And Dave and I got talking about this because I left a note, because Dave and I will talk after the show on Thursday. Yeah, let's do this next week. And then we go, what were we going to do? Well, I left a note. And it came back up in conversation with curses. So we're going to talk about haunted items too, cursed items. So what do you think about all that, Dave? About and this is not to throw shade on anybody whatsoever in any way, shape or form. We're just going to share what we both believe. We're pretty well on the same page with this.
Yeah, we sure are. Yeah, we're not throwing shade at anybody. That's absolutely true. If this is something you work in, practice in, that's fine. I also get people will call me up and say that they've been cursed, their family's been cursed, and they can't have this and that because of this curse. And I have found throughout the years, not even before I talk to my guides, just on my own, knowing that a curse is here. I'm going to read you the definition. A curse is a solemn utterance intended to invoke a supernatural power to inflict harm or punishment on someone or something. Now, here's one thing, what a lot of spiritual people know. Whatever we put out comes back to us threefold. So if I were to put out nasty stuff all the time within my spiritual practice, it's all just going to come back to me. It's almost like instant karma for spiritual people. So there are people who practice curses for years and years, but I found if you don't know that you're cursed, nothing will happen. Because you have to agree with what somebody's telling you. It's almost, if I were to sit on here and say to all my watchers right now, okay, you guys are all cursed. You're cursed now. You're cursed and you're never going to have good hair for the rest of your life. The first time you have a bad hair day, you're going to go, oh my God, it's the curse. And then your brain's going to start rolling, and then you're going to have a terrible hair day every day. Just because you bought into it. And that's what a curse is. There really isn't anything that I know of from God, guide, angels, where there is a loud or even that a curse is something. A curse is something if the believer, if the guy receiver believes what the sender said to them, then I will say, yes, you're cursed because you believe it. But if you don't believe it at all, nothing's going to happen.
I'm going to
Ever.
answer this, Michelle.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead, Laura.
I'm going to say, Michelle said this. My son had a healing done. She removed a ball and chain from his ankle. He's been 100% better since. So what I'm going to add now, this is just a thought, okay? Because I was rambling away to Dave in voice messages yesterday. Everything is energy. Our words, our thoughts, and our emotions are so incredibly powerful. And I don't mean from an egotistical sense. That was our birthright as human beings. I truly believe it's why the law of attraction works. I mean, we can go on and on and on. And one day we may do a show about that. So I don't know if Dave had a chance to listen to this. I sent him a lot of messages, but I actually started to think that, yes, we can believe it. If we believe it, we give it, energy. But like you said, Michelle, her comment was, he's not the kind to seek this kind of help, but felt he was cursed. So he may have felt that, may have believed that. But sometimes we run into people who didn't even know anything about curses. They're having a really bad string of luck, whatever it may be. But just imagine. So let's take this example of this individual who feels that this woman was part of a coven, being a witch, and also part of the Micmac tribe, I believe it was, or some of one of the First Nations things. So if we had a collective of people using their words, their thoughts, and their intention of sending that kind of energy to an individual, could something manifest? If you think about it, because that's how a tulpa works too, right? If you think about it, like a paranormal entity, like the New Jersey Devil, whatever. Again, it goes back to belief systems.
Yeah.
And we don't know all the answers. We tell you guys this all the time. We're not experts. We're sharing what we think we receive from spirit and our own experiences, right, Dave?
This, if someone believed that they were cursed and went to somebody to remove the curse, and in their heart of hearts they believed that that person was the one to remove that curse, the curse will be removed. It goes the other way around. I can tell you honestly, if I were to put on my website curses removed, $50, I bet I would get a bunch of people. I would talk to them for 15 minutes and they would write me a letter going, "Oh my God, it's a miracle. Everything's perfect." And I would, and I would want to give them their money back because I would have nothing to do with it, except I just informed them that they were fine and they believed it. It is what Lorilei says. A lot of things, the spiritual world, everything is all based on a belief system. Your beliefs are very strong. Our minds, literally everything you see outside of yourself is a reflection of what's inside yourself. So the world around you, when I just did a little question thing on this, somebody kept telling me that, this is hell on earth. If you want to experience hell, this is hell. This is what you're living. And I'm like, no, it's only if that's what you believe,
Because we're creators, okay?
Exactly.
Taking religion out of the picture, okay?
Yeah.
There's a reason why there's laws of the universe. There's a reason why the law of attraction can work. Don't you all remember when The Secret came out and everybody was talking about The Secret? Everybody was talking about the movie. And then people realized it doesn't work because they didn't give you all the pieces to the puzzle, first of all.
They didn't give you
Let's go back to my medical background for a second here.
Go ahead.
It's been proven time and time and time again in research. We got Shannon here and Debbie. Hi, y'all. We're glad to have you here. Shannon, I don't know if you're back at work or not yet, if we got our little crew listening from where you're working, but they may be listening. So hi to the crew, the paranormal crew at the place where Shannon is. Elderly people. Why do I say elderly? Wise people. We'll say from earlier. I'm just going to stop and take my foot out of my mouth. Anyways. This has been proven time and again that you've all probably heard of a placebo or a sugar pill. And I can tell you, I've actually, and I'm sure Shannon's run into it, depending on where you work. I've worked with a lot of people who really have been given no hope. They've been given a terminal diagnosis and nothing will help. But they will say to you, well, we've got this experimental treatment. But imagine if they said, and it's 99.9999% efficacy rate, we are seeing miracles with this. And the person says, sign me up, right?
Yep.
Now, if they really believe in this and they believe this is their last hope and they believe in that 99.9999% chance that they've been told, it doesn't always have to be that way. I'm going to the extreme. I guarantee you that person would cure themselves. No, did
Yeah.
the sugar pill cure them? No, not at all. There's a reason why progressive cancer treatment is now using visualization within a progressive type of treatment plan, because the mind is that powerful.
Yeah, the mind is powerful. It really does. Uh, it really does create things. I always tell people in the morning, the best time if you're having like a bad week or something like that, take a morning, and when you wake up, the first thing you have to do is wake up and say, oh cool, I'm awake, all right, this happened. So you just kind of start there. I woke up. And then if you know you got to go to work, don't say, oh, I have to go to work. Say, you know what, I choose to go to work today. I choose to go to work because I need to make some money and I want to do this and that, and work will go fine, and I'll have good experiences and so on and so forth. If you tell yourself these things, most likely, not all the time, but it depends on how strong you're thinking it and focusing it, most likely those things will happen. I do it all the time. Trust me. It's the only way to get through my day.
Well, I will tell you sometimes, and I talk about this, and I know that both of us try to walk the walk of the talk that we do. I'll wake up and I've had a crappy morning. Like everything just seems to be going wrong. And my old mindset would have been, oh, great, whole day is going to be like this. What I've done when I start to go into that thinking, I stop myself and say, no, the rest of my day is not going this way. I choose for it to be positive. I choose to move forward with it in the way that I want to see it, not the way the morning has gone. And it works. And there was something I was going to say when you were talking. It'll probably come back to me as I'm talking. But the thing is, our minds are so powerful and we don't realize. I mean, there are so many things we can do as human beings that we have been told that we cannot do, that I swear, if we had all been taught this since we were little infants, we'd live in a completely different world. But
Absolutely.
we'd be telepathic. We could speak to animals all the time. ET, anybody we want. We could have telekinesis. I think we could probably even levitate ourselves, because I've seen video of tribes that have never been touched by human society before. And there's one picture in particular, got the shaman or guru. He's levitating and there's no magic trick. He's levitating in the middle of the center of the circle of the tribe.
Yeah, there are a couple proven cases of that. I haven't saw it yet, but there are some cases of that I read about, and I think it's really quite interesting.
Hi, Jody.
I take inventory of myself, and this is here for anybody who's an empath. Here is a tip for you. If you're like a total empath, and you're on every empath group, and because empath groups, a lot of times on Facebook, not all of them, but I was at one empath group that I was signing up for, and I asked permission to post a video of mine that I made on my channel about empaths. And he watched it and he said, no, I can't let you post it on there. And all it was tips to help an empath. And the reason is that gentleman did not want anybody in his group to have any help, because he was charging them to work with him as an empath. Anyhow, as an empath, you got to remember this. I get it. We feel other people's feelings, but it is controllable. And nobody tells you that. It's 100% controllable. You just have to know how to do it. What I do back when, like, say I had to go to Walmart. Everybody, saw the funny meme about dressing up in the hazmat suit to go to Walmart. But what I do is I take inventory of myself. So if I'm having a particularly weird day, as I'm walking in there, I'll think to myself, okay, I've got no headache. I feel pretty good. My mood's pretty good. I've had a pretty decent day. And I just recognize all that. I know what pains I have in my body, which is real important because I'm clairsentient as well. So I pick up other people's pains. And I know what hurts on me. If I walk into that store and anything changes to what I just took inventory of, I stop for a minute and look around, and then I can usually pinpoint the person. I'm like, oh, that's them. I just say this to myself. I just always go, I apologize, but this is your stuff. It's not mine, and I can't deal with it right now. You're going to have to do this. And usually I just go about my business then. I mean, that's how
I
it
thought
works.
you were going to start saying like Ho'oponopono or something when you started. That's another show. Maybe one time we'll talk about that. But mine is as simple as when I go out, when I walk in, because I can pick up people's pain, most of us can if we're open. First thing I ask myself within the mind, is this mine? No.
Yep.
So all I say is within the mind's eye, return to sender, and I send them a lot of love. That's what I send them.
It's the same thing. If you ever have somebody go, I'm going to put a curse on you, go for it. I'm going to put one right back on you. You know, just.
Well, I remember what I was going to say. I wrote it down. So this is where we weren't really heading into spiritual stuff, but we're kind of giving you guys ideas. Not that we don't mind. We can never stop who we are, but we're here to talk about spooky, ooky things most of the time, right? But the thing is, right, I think it's important to talk about these examples so you guys can see where we're coming from. But one of the things I learned, and I'm still working with money and manifestation, that's one of my things, because of the belief systems we have. And most of us say we don't have belief systems. Wow, do we? One of the things I learned, and I've been guilty of this, I can't afford that. Well, instead of saying I can't afford that, how about it's not a financial priority for me right now, right?
Yeah,
you're not shutting yourself off and things like that. Let's read some of these comments, Dave. We got tons of great comments here.
Yeah. Now we're also going to talk about cursed objects, which I have a little different view on it than a cursed person. But
okay. Well, I still want to say a few more things about people too, because we didn't really delve. We kind of talked about showing, right, Dave, about how we could get what the power of the mind can actually do. Sandra, hypnosis absolutely can make a massive change in such a short period of time, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So I wasn't sure what Shannon was saying with this, but then she followed it up, and she's so right. She said, I love when a patient is dying and they will literally wait for a special loved one to come visit before they die. I'm going to get to your comment just a second here, Lisa. Then she added, I see that so often, the power of the mind, and you're darn right, Shannon. Working in palliative care, absolutely. I've seen people will themselves to die. Like say their loved one, they've been married for 97 years, not that many years, say 77, 70 years. They don't know how to live life without their other one. Or even think of the movie The Notebook. I'm sure people thought that was just a movie script, but I have seen loved ones die within hours of each other.
Oh yeah, I've seen it and heard of it, and I've talked to them on the other side too. They were just ready to go. They
made that agreement. When you go, I'm going to go.
Yep, you go, I'm going. That's it.
You want to read this one, Dave?
I need to stop making the excuse. Lisa Campbell says, I need to stop making the excuse of it's Monday, day 3, day 4, etc. That is so true, Lisa. And I'm going to tell you, I agree with you because I have off every Wednesday, Thursday from my job. So every Friday when I go into work, everybody else goes TGIF, and I was go, well, Friday's my Monday. And I say it like that, and I have to catch myself. I'm like, oh, you just set yourself up for failure today. And I do that. And so I do catch myself. It is the best thing to do is to just stop, saying, oh, it's the beginning of the week. Yay, I made another week. I'm alive another week. I get to go through this week,
Okay, I'm going to take a little different perspective with this. First of all, I think we all need to give ourselves grace when we feel this way. Okay, plus I also think there's a message in that. When we are dreading going to work, and sometimes we don't have a choice, we have to bring a paycheck home to keep a roof over our head and ourselves and the people in our home fed. But it's also a message that maybe we're really not that happy doing what we're doing. It might be something to sit down and explore. Where do I want my life to be, right? Like the ultimate in life, I think, is to get up every morning and be excited to go to work, doing something you love that much. And I'm not saying it's a pipe dream. What I'm saying is, you got to keep doing what you're doing. Got to work on mindset a little bit. But I think it's a real message that maybe I'm meant to be doing something else.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. In that respect, if there's some place there's so much resistance to going there, there's a reason there's resistance to going there, because spirits, ghosts, whatever, they are not going to give you, if the easy path is what you always want to take. So I agree with Lorilei. If
Plus, it's comfortable, right? And I've seen this as nurses too. Like you go, maybe you've decided you're going to start out working on the medical surgical floor, and then you've been there 5-6 years, and it's like, I really need a change. But you know what? It's so easy to go to work. I know it inside and out. Do I really want to start learning a whole new thing and orienting? And it's just, I can speak from personal experience, but that's any job, right?
Oh, it is. It's any job. You know what? I mean, I don't know how Canada is, but I do know, like here in America, we were taught that you had to work a 40-hour work week and you had to work hard to get what you want. You had to do this, and you had to get married, and you had to have kids, and you had to take out a loan, and you have to get credit cards, and you have to go to church every Sunday, and you have to do this, and you have to do that. And they made it the norm, and we fell into that trap. I mean, the good thing that came out of COVID was
be careful with that word, hon.
Yeah,
we'll say the last 3 years.
the good thing that came out of the last crappy thing that happened in our world is the fact that,
we're on YouTube.
Yeah, is the fact that we realized that how we were living our lives before is different. There's so many people went out and got started their own businesses, worked from home, did all kinds of things, and
relationships broke up.
This could be the norm.
Yeah, so relationships broke up.
Came out of things. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Dave. I apologize.
No, I interrupted you. I think that it's pretty cool that we can change things. So if you're falling into the same old trap, mix it up somehow. Just tell yourself, I want to mix it up. Ask somebody to mix it up for you, or do something wacky. Things can change.
Well, like I said, I think it's a message to look at things. But getting back to curses, here we go. Zach Man's getting us. Jody, I wanted to say hi. I gave you a quick hi while Dave was talking. She's from Australia too. So Zach Man, he's getting us back on the curse talk. Thank you, Zach. He says, what I find is that curses tend to backfire to where they hit the sender. Interesting.
True. I've seen it happen. Well, I've heard of it happening, I should say. I shouldn't think. There are now, can we talk about cursed objects for a minute?
Absolutely. You can go anywhere you want, Dave.
Okay. just because
David and I have been talking all day since last night, messaging. Then he calls me like 2 minutes before. We've been talking for the last day and a half.
Hi, Ken Tucker from Indiana. If anybody has anything they want to bring up or want us to talk about or ask us about a question, feel free to go ahead and put it in the comments. We will go wherever you guys want us to go. But I wanted to speak about cursed objects because we hear that a lot in society. And this is, let's see, it's a cursed object. I think an object can actually, quote unquote, be cursed, but not from just saying something, but somebody can put a negative energy into something, and that negative, and if most people will pick it up, and that negative energy will affect them somehow, especially if they were told, hey, this ring is cursed, and then you give it to somebody, it might actually have some bad energy around it, but it also could fall in the same trap too, that somebody just told you it was and it wasn't. But there's objects that people don't know they were cursed, and they grabbed them and they took them home, and all kinds of weird stuff started happening. I chalk that up to energy. It's like when I talked about people who paranormal investigators, the more people that go into a location and put negative energy in there, negative energy stays there. Energy can't be destroyed. Once you put that energy there, it's there. So that's my feeling kind of on cursed objects. I mean, there's so many different.
But what I'm thinking of, Dave, and we've seen this, what about like these dolls that are cursed? Or I've seen enough videos, if you do get a true, say, Dybbuk box, for example, they're rare. They kind of blew up on the internet after the one that caused quite the kerfuffle. And so what is that? Or like the doll, and regardless of how you may feel one way or the other about Lorraine and Ed Warren's museum, they're not the only ones I have seen that have dolls that are enclosed and encased and have to be. I have seen dolls move. My
No.
previous host on the network, she collects haunted items. And I asked her once, why do you do that? And she said to me that when they need to go to a place, I know how to keep them. What was the word she said? In behaving themselves, basically. And I don't want them to go somewhere out to somebody, say, that's innocent. And I've seen enough things to show you that I don't know how this all works, but I do believe that curses or words or thoughts or emotions, all that behind it. Same reason why spells work, why subliminal messaging works. It probably all has to do with the power of our mind and the laws of energy. But I don't know, like, what's with these, and I have seen dolls, and it's not fakery, all of it. Like, I can tell you, my ex co-host, what a terrible thing to say. I didn't mean it that way. My co-host previous that I had a couple of years back, we used to do a show on here, and she would have her dolls behind us. I can tell you there were many times you'd see the dolls move. The one doll, I thought it actually had like the blinky eyes, and you could see this thing smile and blink, and it was a painted face. Like, how does that happen? It wasn't just me noticing, other people saw it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I also have heard of and saw, and I haven't seen in my real time dolls moving and stuff, but I do know from enough credible people, that it does happen. I noticed something though when people were talking about dolls that I looked up, and this isn't extremely accurate, but I researched a lot of stuff. I kind of researched a lot of the doll stuff started coming out when the first Chucky movie came out, because that was a movie about cursed dolls. As soon as that happened, all of a sudden there was a cursed doll video on YouTube. And granted, a lot of them were fake, which sucks because there are people who have real stuff. They had real dolls who were doing things. But the dolls, I don't know. I had asked my guides before. I said, is there a spirit within the doll? And they told me no. They told me no, a soul can't inhabit the inanimate object. But there's a big but to that. The energy of the person can possess the doll. So it's almost like if you look at it this way, in human language, there's a ghost standing behind the doll, moving the doll for you. So, but it's not actually in the doll. So the doll can't do you harm, but the energy within the doll could cause some kind of harm if you buy into it and if you let it. But I agree with Lorilei too. I've seen some people who put dolls behind glass because there's so much negative energy behind them. People who aren't spiritual are feeling it.
Well, that's where we're coming from. I'm coming from here. I have met people that did not believe in haunted dolls in any way. They were a doll collector. Now, this is interesting what Michelle said. Dolls were made for spirits to go into. Now, I'm not sure, like, especially when you go back in the day when they used to use human hair on dolls. And I agree with you that that's when we started hearing more about haunted dolls, was after Chucky. But there still were dolls like this. Heck, you can get into voodoo dolls. Like, if you practice voodoo and hoodoo, I mean, and you believe in that, I have seen many a person have many issues. And again, we get back to curses. So, and it's almost like I think we've been conditioned as a society, including those that may not be, first world societies, that it comes through legend and lore that say you have a string of bad luck. People think they're cursed. Now, does that start it? Like, I can honestly tell you, I'll share the story I shared with Dave last night. Where we first met years ago in a group that shall remain nameless. Many good things came out, like Dave, and a couple of great friendships I still have to this day. But I was working with somebody that was a younger individual. I didn't know a lot about them, but we got along great. Anyways, long story short, went on kind of like a conference, came back, kind of found out who their true self was. We'll leave it at that. But when I got home, and it was in my previous home, everything went wrong that could have gone wrong. I broke my ankle on air on my previous network. Thank God we weren't on camera. And the other three girls, we were doing a paranormal panel. They're going, "How did you just went like green?" They could see me on the camera, but I didn't say anything. And I started thinking, holy crap, did he curse me? Because I saw that he was into a lot of dark stuff. That's kind of why I distanced myself when I finally met him in person. And I literally heard my guides. And I said, wait, no, I refuse to accept a curse. There is no curse in any way, shape, or form. I refuse to give it any belief, any energy, or any emotion. It stops now. If you have sent me something, right back to you, dude. Right back
Yep.
to you. Basically, it's going to bounce right off of me energy wise. And I'm telling you, I don't know if I did it with my mind. I don't know if it was just stuff that happened, but I had a lot of bad stuff happen that week when I came back.
Yeah,
I don't
well,
know.
no, that can happen. No, like I said, we can pick up the negative energy and take it home
Mhm.
with us, especially if you're a spiritual person, a psychic,
Mhm.
and a medium. So you're already like me. We're already prone to negative energy. I mean, it just wants to find us.
Well, that's
And
what I said. It's not just the positive that can see or interact. It's the negative. I always say the way spirit showed it to me from the other side was everybody's little pinpricks of light, but those like yourself and mine, and we all have these abilities. I truly believe this, but those of us that are aware and are utilizing them, it's kind of like those old horror movies where someone's driving down a dark highway, there's no lights, and all of a sudden flashes this vacancy, no vacancy sign. That's the picture they gave me, that it's not just positive that can see us, so can negative. So they know we can hear them, see them, feel them. They can interact with us. Mm-hmm. You
I like
want to read Shannon's comment?
yeah, go ahead. Oh, no,
Oh,
go
okay.
ahead.
Okay. I accidentally bought a cursed dream catcher. We had shadow people pulling my husband out of bed. Oh my gosh, Shannon, that's terrible. Once I
Question
got
is,
rid of it, it finally stopped. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
my question is, and I'm not doubting you because, like I said, I can't doubt people because things happen to people that, and I always tell people, change my mind because I don't know everything.
Mhm.
I'm curious to know if you accidentally bought a cursed dream catcher, if it was accident. I mean, were you aware that it was cursed, or did somebody tell you it was cursed after you bought it? I'm just curious.
Okay,
That's
I'm going to guess till she types. I'm going to guess that she bought this dream catcher. Everything was kosher until this dream catcher came in the house, and they figured out that the only thing that had changed to cause
was
this
the
kind of activity was the new dream catcher. So
because and that's kind of how I'm thinking of it too. Although there's other things that can come in with
hi, Megan. Mhm.
because because I do psychometry, and Lorilei, you do psychometry as
I do
well.
too. Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Psychometry, and I could never tell anybody how to do it because it was a new talent that happened after I was sick. I never had it
Mhm.
before.
I
Until
didn't
last
know I had it either. I was making jewelry very quickly to jump in, and I got some old beads given to me by a friend. I didn't know who they came from or whatever. And whenever I picked up the beads, I'd start getting the emotions and the pictures of when it was all unstrung, but the beads, I would pick up everything that was associated with the necklace. Sorry, go
now,
ahead. Mhm.
no, don't be sorry. No, that's exactly how psychometry is for some people. I can walk in, I can pick up if I do not have an intention nowadays. I've learned how to, if I don't have an intention and I pick up an object, nothing will happen. But if I pick up an object and even say to myself, I wonder where this is from, that's literally giving the universe permission to go,
Permission to
okay,
show
it
you.
wants to know what's happening. So
I want
Shannon,
to show you guys something, then we'll get to Zach's
uh,
thing.
now what I wanted to say, Shannon, she said, yeah, that's exactly what happened. You assumed it was cursed. I'm going to say, and I don't know because I'm not looking at, but there's, besides it being cursed, it also it could have been someplace that absorbed a lot of negative energy. And I guess we could call that cursed, I guess. I mean,
Well, plus dream catchers are meant to absorb nightmares and bad dreams,
nightmares.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, I
And
want to show people something. I know Dave can probably do this as well. I've never shown him. But okay, this is how when you know how energy works. Okay. I'm going to try not to move my elbow. I'll try. Oh, you guys can't see. Okay, so watch. I'm going to ask this to go back and forth. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to ask it. Now I'm going to get it to stop. Got to breathe here. Okay, now I want it to go in a circle. I'm going to try not move my elbow. Stop. Thank you. So what I'm trying to say is everything is energy. I'm not a witch. I'm not magic. All I've done is focus my intention. And basically it's traveled through my hand down to this pendulum.
Exactly. And for pendulums, our bodies are pendulums too, because
I've used my body as a pendulum, yes. So I don't look like a weirdo whipping this out in a store.
All the time. And basically how that works is if I'm talking to, if somebody stands in front of me and starts talking to me, if I lean in, then I pretty much, that's a yes to me. It's good energy. If I back away from the person, that's a no. That's a bad energy. You know, sometimes
I didn't think of this till just now, but that's proving to you right there. And I tried to keep my elbow straight. I was holding it up in the air, but if I had my elbow down here, oh, sorry, you'd see my elbow wouldn't even move at all. And I wouldn't have had to say out loud what I was trying to get it to do. I was focusing with my mind, asking it to, and that's what we can do. That's how we are as human beings. Like Dave said, yes, use your body as a pendulum. And you can go into a store and, you can ask anything. Is this, this brand of vitamin going to be good for me? Yes or no? And I always suggest to people before they use their body as a pendulum, you ask your body to show you yes and ask you to show you no, what way you lean. Dave already knows if he leans in, that means yes. Some people might lean to the left for a yes, no for a right, and vice versa. But you can. And it's incredible because you don't want to be whipping one of those out in a store because people look at you like you're crazy.
Pendulums work by when we hold it, we psychically get when we ask a question, the psychic information comes into our brain and then it stimulates all the motor nerves in us, and that's how it moves. But it is coming from a psychic source. It's usually pendulum work. I always tell people, work with your higher self on that one. I had a lady a long time ago, Lorilei, and you're going to laugh at this. She got a pendulum because she was brand new. Her poor son had passed away, and she was just very, very upset. And I think Debbie might have known her. She got a pendulum and started saying that her son was talking to her through the pendulum.
Oh, no.
Far be it for me to say anything until she started to charge people for reading, saying the information is coming from my son and using a pendulum. I will tell you this. I do not do pendulum readings for people because I use a pendulum for myself.
I use a pendulum in Crystal Reiki.
Yeah.
And I can not have any intention attached to it. I've tried every trick, every person that uses them to tell me if you drink a lot of water, if you look up. No, I can control a pendulum. So if I have a vested interest in a pendulum, and it doesn't have to be a pendulum, this is a crystal, but I mean, I could take any necklace, anything I've touched, and then they'll tell you, well, you have to carry the pendulum, get your energy in it. No, you don't. If you have the intention and you want to focus it, you know how to focus it, you can do it. Yeah, I want to say hi to Robin from Halfern Paranormal over in the UK. Hi, we got Yvette McCarthy. We got lots of new people tonight. So nice to have you all here. Thank you. Oh, yeah. I'll do it a bit early, but I'll do our call signs here. We should do them every hour. Sometimes I forget.
Why don't you do Zachman's question here?
I will, but just let people, if they're just tuning in, you're listening to The Thing at the Foot of the Bed on 105.3 and 107.7 out of New Orleans, Louisiana, on United Public Radio Network, also known as UFO Paranormal Radio Network. And like I said, Thing at the Foot of the Bed here live with myself and my amazing co-host, David Hanzel. Right back to what we were right into. So Zachman, speaking of Dybbuk boxes a few minutes ago, I had a buddy who thought of creating a Dybbuk box in the shape of a humidor filled with cigars. He would have put it as an auction to raise money for charity, but I think I saw what you also added, if I'm not mistaken. This is what he said. Buy the cursed humidor and he would throw the demon in for free. Oh, wow. I'm going to tell you, okay, my partner Del told me, this is before we were together. They were at some Halloween party. This is years ago. Like he was in his early 20s, and it was in some restaurant that no longer exists in Thunder Bay. Shannon, you might know. What did it was called Casey's. It was over on the north side of the city. And he said it was in a room upstairs and there was some guy standing outside the bathroom. Creepiest looking guy you ever seen, he said. And the guy would follow. It was mostly he'd go in, well, obviously with the guys, he wouldn't go in with the girl. Or I can't remember if it was like a unisex bathroom, just one person at a time. And he had a sign up on the wall and he kept saying, sign your name, sign your soul over to the devil. And Della was talking about this because he wasn't signing that no way, no how. But he said, if I'm not mistaken, I remember him saying he knew a few people that did sign it and they had some interesting things that weren't good that happened in their future. Now, was it because they believed it? They were all inebriated, or what was it? I don't know. Like I said, we don't know all the answers.
Yeah,
Crazy story, but
there's some crazy stuff that happens. But I've heard, I have Zach, man, I have tons of people will pretend they're me, like on TikTok, and tell people they can give people a love spell and take their curses off and all this, and then they'll come back to me later on going, that didn't work. I'm like, what didn't work? It's like, that wasn't me, that was someone else. And I would tell them about the curse, I wouldn't charge them, and they'd be like, oh, I'm better, thank you.
But what about, like, there's been stories. There was a story a couple of years ago here in Toronto, in Ontario, Canada. A woman, I believe, and there's nothing against anybody that's Romanoff or Gypsy or anything, but she was claimed to be a Gypsy fortune teller. She had taken so many people for millions of dollars with saying they were cursed. They had to keep coming back and paying and paying and paying. She eventually was arrested. And I remember reading it thinking, wow, this doesn't give anybody that actually does this legitimately in the way of being a psychic medium a good name. But it's not unique to Canada, is it, Dave?
No, it's not. And you guys, if you ever, like, if you think that you are cursed and you go to somebody because they say they can remove a curse, that's fine. But if they tell you you have to keep making appointments, no, run the other way. Run the other way. Erica has a question, and I think I can
I'm
answer.
going to it right now. Thanks, Robin says he's loving the show. We love you guys. So thanks for the comments and questions.
The first part is she's
you got to read it.
Yeah, I'll read it in a second. She's got a part 1, which I'll quick read. You don't have to put it up there.
Did I miss it? Well, people might want to see. Is it higher up?
Yeah, it's a little higher up.
Is this part 1 here?
Yeah, that's it. So
okay,
the first part is, and Erica, honestly, forgive me when I do readings. A lot of people know this. When I do readings, for the most part, 98% of my readings get wiped away from my head. So I never know who once I'm done, depending on what type of reading it was. Sometimes when I'm doing the reading, I'm just not present. So I don't remember much of it. But I do remember people most of the time. So Erica says, my dad passed away Tuesday, which I'm so sorry, Erica. At 12:34 p.m. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there any significance in that? Did he know my brother and I were by his side? It all happened so fast. Yes, I agree with Lorilei. I already got that too. Yes, that part's fine. That part is just fine. Now, the second part was a little further down, Lorilei.
Okay, because I'm going to answer as well. Dave, you go ahead, but I'm going to answer about the 1, 2, 3, 4. Dave, do you remember Rhonda, my sister-in-law? I gave her very first reading in Kings Mountain while I was with Jen.
Yeah.
She's who immediately said 1, 2, 3, 4 after the nurse said official time of death, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So I do kind of remember when I was there with the readings, and I will say this. There was significance in the medium giving the reading where she picked that up. It wasn't quite sure of what it was. Obviously, she would have said something, but she picked it up. As far as like an actual thing, did it mean something about him? No, it's 12:34. If there was like a date, time, in hospital or place, that's a little different. But still, there are no such things as coincidences. Coincidences don't exist. So I'm sure there's something behind the number, but a lot of times, please understand this. Most mediums will not predict death.
Never.
And I'm going to
Or
say
tell
the
you
word.
you're not going to get better. Like
Yeah.
you had talking about somebody a few months back on TikTok, and nobody should do that to anybody, because
Never.
I don't care if you believe in miracles or not. Again, we're talking about the power of the mind. If somebody believes a psychic or a medium that tells them they've maybe been given a cancer diagnosis with very little hope, but there's a shred of hope, and they ask somebody that, and a psychic medium says, no, you're not going to get better. You got a couple months left. Who
Yeah.
does that? That, like you said, Dave, Spirit shared this, but we knew this as well. It takes away all hope, right?
Yeah, that's what I did a long thing about that. I said, my guide said, whether you know the answer or not, you cannot give it to them, because you take away hope and you change their course, which we are not allowed to do. We are not allowed to change your course unless you ask us a question, and then the information will come through, and then you can change your course. As far as that's probably why Jen didn't get like all the specifics, because by somebody knowing that, it might have changed something in between the time, because this was quite a while ago that I was in there where this reading was.
Well, I'm going to say, oh, go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
No, yeah, and you and I bought the same tarot bag from Jamie that day. Yes, I do remember that, Erica.
Well, what I'm going to say to you, Erica, I don't know you, and thanks for being here. What I picked up when I read your question, I know Dave knows you, but I felt that 1234 was not something significant. I kept hearing that was just his time to go, but I do want to express my deepest condolences to you and your family. I'm really sorry, because that's just a couple days ago. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, and by the way, and I'm sorry it's not a good reading. You'll have to take my faith on it, because they're right here. He's absolutely fine, and I thank you. They show me they'll show me this sometimes, and that means that yes, they were aware. They were aware of the hand holding. They were aware
Oh,
that people were
absolutely.
standing by while he passed away. So yeah, he's totally cool. And I'm sorry about that. But yeah, that was the time. And that was also another thing too. It's the same reason when I came out of my coma, there was two things that were going to pass away, and it happened. And one was my brother, and one was the dog, because I knew it, but I didn't believe it. And when that happened, I was so angry with spirit. I'm like, why did you let me? Why do I know this? Why did you let that? And they said, because you wouldn't have believed what happened to you unless you had something tangible. And that was absolutely correct. Because for the first 8 months, I still wanted nothing to do with spirituality. But that made me go, okay, that was all real. So basically, that's what that feels like they're doing to you, Erica, is letting you know that the spiritual world is real. The spirit world is real. And that was kind of like your little confirmation thing. But I'm sorry again, once again, like Lorilei said, but yeah.
I'm going to add something, Dave, just quickly.
Oh, yes,
the other
please.
thing I'm going to share with you, Erica, I worked quite extensively in palliative care. I am a registered nurse. I'm not able to work because of a back injury, but use it every day still. And I can tell you from also having a near-death experience, but as a toddler, and I've studied them for 40 plus years professionally and personally, I can tell you that people do know their loved ones are there, even though they may be comatose. They know you're there. I literally heard thank you for both being there. I'm sorry it was so sudden, but they always hear you. The hearing is the last thing to go. Very quickly, I'm going to share something that I don't know if it'll help or not, but I talk about this podcast quite a bit. I just happened to find it, Next Level Soul podcast with an ex-Hollywood director, Alex Ferrari. And I just listened to the most incredible near-death experience on that story from this week. Meanwhile, I wanted to shake this poor woman because she just told every detail. Like I literally had to fast forward through a bit of it, but I am telling you, you'd be on the edge of your seat. Her husband tried to murder her. He was poisoning her. And she claims she had an experience with the Holy Spirit. The night she was going to die, she knew she was. What's up, Dave?
Erica, what I was telling her about, they showed me the hands that meant that she said, thank you. I sang Daddy's hands to him and one tear fell. So there you go. There's your confirmation.
Okay. Do you want me to finish what I was saying quickly, or?
Please.
Okay. So what I was going to say, if you want to check this out, this lady claims she had the Holy Spirit come to her the night before. She is very religious. Not everybody is. But my point is, he told her she was going to be paralyzed, and she was. And her husband thought she was dead because they were going through a divorce. She let him stay there till he could find a house to get to. It is one of the most incredible stories. She looked like she was gone. Everything, she saw everything and heard everything. So my whole point is, whether you're paralyzed, whether you're comatose, the hearing, even if the sight isn't there. And I think also when you get into energy, you can feel it. So that's so nice that Erica gave you that confirmation of what you passed on from Spirit, Dave. So yeah, check it out if you can, is what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah. There's another, this is Facebook user, hon, and we don't have your name.
The bottom.
Yeah. Can you throw that one up here? It says Facebook user.
Okay, well, I'm going to just let them know, just so we know who you are. If you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, you can give Facebook permission or StreamYard permission to use your picture and your name, because otherwise you just come up as Facebook user. So are we doing readings now, Dave? Is that what we're doing? Or?
Well, no, I wanted to read this and I wanted to say something. So this Facebook user, and until I don't know your name, it says, I had done a reading, so obviously a medium. I had done a reading ages ago that popped up death coming within the reading. It basically was saying something about concerns or fears of death. I did mention it to the woman I was reading, and she said she understood what I was talking about, because I just found out that their daughter was diagnosed with cancer. So sad. I've never had anything else happen in all my years of reading. You just proved the point that I was saying earlier. Thank you for doing that, because when you got that in the beginning of the reading, you didn't right away go with that. You just knew there was something there, and you just brought it up, which is what we're supposed to do. I always tell people, whatever comes through, I'm going to give it to you, whether it makes sense or not. But anyway, I'm glad you did that. So thank you. Mediums have to have discernment.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm laughing. Okay, on the Angel Rock, I'm sorry, Erica. I apologize, because she was there. And I had, you know who Leanne is? Leanne Clark? Okay. Yeah. Leanne is called the Crystal Architect on Instagram and Facebook. And I call her the Crystal Wizard, because that girl knows everything. So we were chatting all things crystals. We were talking all kinds of things. And Erica that's why she put on the crystal whore from Monday. Laughing because she was telling us all the crystals she had. I'm sorry, Erica, and you were there, because I kept thinking, I know that name. I know that name. But you said Dave, and I thought, okay, well, maybe they've been here before for Dave. I'm sorry, Erica. I will remember your name now. You know why? Because of this little title you gave me on the bottom here. And Michelle says, I was with my dad when he passed. And again, I'm sorry for anybody who's had a loss here. We send you much love. We send you much healing.
Just to let you guys know, and this is very generic, but me and Lorilei will both tell you, as mediums in the spaces we work in, even though sometimes we don't agree on all this stuff, and sometimes paranormal stuff is different between us, the one thing we both agree on being mediums is that nobody dies, and everybody really is fine. Their journey is like that. It's a snap. So just remember that if you're always wondering, are your loved ones okay? Absolutely. Unless they were absolutely terrible people, they are just fine.
They're just fine, yes. Even if they are terrible people. And I find when they cross over to go back home.
People hate when I say that on TikTok. What happens to bad people? I'm like, no soul left behind, dude. So
yeah. No, but what happens, the way I look at it and try and explain it, is that they are their true self. They're able to leave the humanness behind, the real soul, the real of who they are, not the role they agreed to play on this earth, comes through, and they can see it all through the eyes of love. There is no negativity when we go back home.
Like we said, the only people who can hold on to negativity after physical death would be a ghost.
And that's an Earthbound. I do want to share this with you guys, but I'm going to tell you, be prepared, because this came up on my Facebook. I did share it. And it came up in one of the reels, and it said, oh my goodness, I wish I hadn't watched Lewis Capaldi's, so it's Lewis Capaldi's new video calling Wish You the Best. And this girl's sobbing, and then it's going to different people. I don't know if you guys watch cartoons, but in our house we do. So Phineas and Ferb, the maker of it, Dan, I forget what his last name is. Even he's going, I had to grab the Kleenex. I'm going, oh, how could anything be that bad? Like, that's sad. That is the most beautiful video I've ever seen of the unconditional love and bond between a human being and an animal. So be prepared. I'll try and post it from my YouTube channel when we're talking, and Dave's having a chance to chit chat here. But if you want to watch it, because it's not sad, it's just a beautiful video showing, I think, the circle of life, compassion, empathy, and unconditional love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You guys just always remember that. Always remember those things, and you will be good to go. So that was Angela West. Hi,
Angela West. Hi, Angela. You got Valerie here too. Valerie says, Valerie Kesterson.
Yes.
That is because God gives us free will, so we can change what happened. Yes.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Because if well, I won't go down the whole spiritual path unless somebody wants that. But yeah, we have free will, and free will needs to be changed when we give it permission to, or if it's the right time. But yeah, that's all we have, free will, so we can keep changing stuff. If we didn't have free will, we would just be puppets on a string, and that wouldn't be any fun.
No, it would not. I'm going to type that for you guys in a minute. So getting back to we're all over the place tonight, right, Dave?
Oh, I love it.
So, okay, so we were kind of talking about these dolls, because I know a while back, both Debbie and Zach were talking about Amish dolls, and they don't have a face. Now, I did not know that. Did you know that?
I did. And it's because what he said, because about the false idol thing, it's also because of vanity. The Amish, from what I understand, I mean, they don't really have mirrors and all this other stuff in the house. Vanity for the dolls as well, I guess. But I have not heard of a haunted Amish doll either. What do the Amish know? What are the Amish doing that they don't have?
The Amish know a lot, because I have also, different show, different topic, but I'm going to say this. They apparently have no cases of children with autism.
Yeah, they don't have. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. It's all weird, guys. It's very weird, and we love it. It's all the stuff that's at the foot of our bed that we're thinking about all the time.
Okay, so I posted that link, by the way. Oh, we got Briar here too. Hi, Briar. We got so many people here. So let's talk about some cursed things we haven't talked about. What have you heard about that's cursed out there that you're trying to figure out? You're wondering why, what's going on with this thing? What do you guys think? Because there's lots of things that have been cursed that I've seen.
Questions. While we're waiting for an answer, I'm going to tell you guys, when I was about 14 years old, this is after I actually, where the book title came from, The Thing at the Foot of the Bed. This isn't the copy I had. This is a newer copy. But that was one of the first books I read. One of the second books I read, I ordered The Power of Witchcraft by Gavin and Yvonne Frost, because I had it in my head that I just was vibing with witches at the time. Well, with that book came this little amulet. It was like a pewter cheap little amulet, and I think it had like a 5-pointed star in it, and it had like the zodiac around it. Anyway, I got it, and I had told my cousin, I'm like, look at this amulet I got. She thought it was the coolest thing, and I thought it was the coolest thing. Well, I left the house that night, and I went home, and I lost the amulet. I'm like, oh my God, I don't have it.
No.
So the next weekend, when I went to my cousin's house again, she goes, oh, David, you dropped your amulet here. And she goes, you know what? I wore it all week. And she said it had the coolest feelings and everything went well with me. And I thought,
wow.
I wonder. Now, I was thinking, when I had that amulet, I was so happy, because that was my very first like little trinket that I got about witchcraft or anything. I was happy, and I wore it proudly for a little while. So I wonder if my energy was on that, and when she wore it, she was benefiting from the energy I left in it. So in other words, it was a good curse. It was, I don't know if there's any such thing, but that happened a long time ago. And I'll never forget that because of the fact when it just stuck in my head. My cousin is not somebody who believes in any of this crap. And she hated it because she was in my house growing up where all the weird stuff happened. But she wore that amulet for a week, wore it to school, and she said it was wonderful. She loved it.
Well, because again, energy can neither be created nor destroyed, one of the laws of it, right? But it can be transferred from one place to another. So then we get back to haunted items, curses, things like that. But what I was thinking about, we kind of touched on it a little earlier, but we went in a different direction, is, there's things like voodoo dolls. There are things like, let's talk about witchcraft. Neither good nor bad. I have no judgment in anything of the sort. I always say it's not my job to judge, and I know Dave, same thing. But my point is, why do these things seem to work? Right? There's words with witchcraft and spells. There's you can make your grimoire, you can make up spells. Same thing with Reiki even, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. But you literally make something called a sigil, and it holds the energy from the intention that you put in there. Why do these things work?
I know.
Are
Well,
you still there?
I don't know.
Dave's
I'm sure some of them work. I was looking up some voodoo doll stuff, and
okay.
voodoo doll says the term voodoo. Now, this is interesting. So let's talk about this. The term voodoo doll commonly describes an effigy into which pins are inserted. Such practices are found in various forms in the magical traditions of many cultures around the world. Despite its name, the dolls are not prominent in Haitian voodoo and not used in Louisiana voodoo, which I did not know.
Interesting.
I did not know that. I
I didn't
mean,
know that either.
now this is Wikipedia, and we all know somebody could have changed stuff because it's Wikipedia. But as far as voodoo doll goes, I've always been indifferent about that because I don't have a direct no to that question. Because in voodoo dolls, they need a piece of the hair, the person, or the energy or something to add to the doll in order for it to represent who that person is. Now, I do know there are people who have made voodoo dolls who will get that lock of hair, but they don't ever tell the person what it is, and that person is going through heck. So I wonder if there's something, and I don't know, I don't have any desire to learn how to use a voodoo doll, so don't worry, you guys. Because otherwise, if I did, I know a million people that'd be going, ow, 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 all day long. Because
I came up with an idea. Okay,
Yeah.
so what I did with the pendulum earlier about being able to manipulate energy, and I'm not saying I'm so great, whatever, we explained how it works, but imagine if you got that good that you could manipulate energy, okay, with your mind as well as with belief, focus, whatever, that it could become a physical representation, especially when you got the person's DNA, say, for example, in a voodoo doll. With the hair, I don't think you need the hair. I think, like Michelle's saying here, and by the way, hi, Briar. She's also from Australia, too. Michelle lets us know. But if our minds are that powerful, and we are capable, I believe it, of telekinesis, telepathy, things like this, we can move things. What if that's how it works? That's why magic works. This is what magic is. We're just harnessing the energy through focus with our minds to be able to manipulate objects and things to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, and we could. I don't know how. I mean, I personally don't know anybody who found out that there is a voodoo doll of them and that it actually worked. I do not know. The weird thing about it is that practice has been going on for how long? I mean, and it stayed in society. So I always say there's a little truth to every kid. So when somebody says something to you and they go, "I'm just kidding," always remember there's a little truth to whatever they
There
said.
always is.
But to all those things out there, I'm sure there is some kind of truth to the doll situation that we're talking about. I can't say that I have the answers or a lot of personal experience with it. So it's harder for me to comment on that. But the doll
I
thing,
have known, though, there are people. Do you remember that movie? You'd have to be older, like Dave and I probably, when Drew Barrymore was little and she was in that movie called Firestarter.
oh
And
yeah,
do you remember that? She could start fires with her mind and stuff. There's a guy by the name of Lynn Buchanan that used to be a part of the remote viewing U.S. military division. He now teaches people. He's getting quite elderly, actually, but he still teaches people. But I've watched quite a few interviews with him. And in his younger day, especially, like he could not get angry. He blew up all the computers in the department when he was there. He was one of those people, and he talked about the ability that he had. Now, I have to take his word for it. I didn't witness it, but I do know that that unit, there's that movie, The Men That Stare at Goats with George Clooney, that was based on their unit. George Clooney's character, I remember watching him. He said that George Clooney's character was a characterization of him and many other of the individuals who were in the first unit. But how does that happen, right? Like, how can somebody do that?
I am not sure. I mean, I've there's so much we don't know. Nicole said, yeah, there you go. Nicole says putting enough negative energy into it would be like a cursed object. No, no, that's not a, a cursed object is by
I don't
intention.
know. I kind of agree with her.
I don't call a lot of negative energy in something cursed, but I
I
suppose
think it's semantics what we're looking at, though, right? Like,
that's exactly. And I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna take it back what I said because it is. We're just arguing about semantics at this point. I guess putting negative energy something could be similar to cursing an object, because
well,
that's
no, I'm going to walk it back a bit. If you put it like that, cursing an object, I think, is done with intention. It could be done with
yeah.
words, and it's directed, whether it's to the object, to whoever it goes to, this will be cursed. Whereas negative energy, right, it could just sort of be put there, not intentionally. How about that? Like a haunted
Yeah,
item.
it could because you guys know the water experiment, right? Where that scientist took glasses
Dr.
of water.
Emoto,
Yeah, he said,
Dr. Emoto.
yep,
Mhm.
he did. I wrote an article. If you guys go to Haunted Journeys, it's like a online magazine. You can see a bunch of my articles in there that I wrote. And I
I
did one
didn't
of.
know that, Dave. What's it called again?
I forgot they were out there. Actually, it was
Okay,
like
what's it called?
it's called Haunted Journeys, and it's an online thing. I think you could probably still find my stuff on there.
I
Um,
only got one for the Paranormal Chronicles, and I got a
yeah.
bunch of my friends that were gifted
And
in the paranormal and stuff to write. But go ahead, I'm writing this down.
who owns that? They might be mad at me by now when I took them down, but I have copies. But
Mhm.
in the water thing, if in a glass of water, and it's been proven, if you literally tell a glass of water every day all the time that it's beautiful and lovely and perfect, it'll look like you can put the pieces under a microscope and it'll look like the most beautiful snowflake you've ever saw.
Mhm.
And that's how the experiment went. And then they did one where they said nothing but negative things, and when you put a drop of that under the microscope, it literally looks evil. I mean,
It
it's
looks like
just
sludgy,
brown,
monstery
sludgy,
stuff. Yeah.
everything. So if we can do that with water, but we might be able to do that with objects. The reason it works really easily with water, though, is water is fluid. People are
We're
not,
almost all water, though, as human
people are
beings.
70% water. In an ocean, a whales can make a sound and it can be heard 5 miles away because water is also a conductor. So I don't know how it works for the objects, but I'm assuming in everything there is some sort of moisture.
Okay, so let's get into. I'm a true crime fan too.
Yeah.
So let's get into that now. How far technology has come, and I'm not trying to be morbid, but with the way DNA technology has come from, I forget what it's called. Her name's Francine. I forget what her last name is. Amazing lady. She Vardole, I think is Francine Vardole. It's called the Vardole method. That say you find somebody that's lost their life through something tragic like this, what we just said. somebody taking their life, if they have touched that individual, barely touched the individual, there is energy in the way of that. There is some sort of DNA transfer. And if we look at the DNA of the body possibly holding our energy signature, could make sense why that we get haunted items. Just a theory, just a thought.
No, I would agree. It's a worthwhile theory. It really is. I mean, me and Lorilei will have a lot of theories for you. but
we talk about these on air and off air, and that's why we do, because I don't know everything, and I don't claim to know everything, and I know you don't either. And Spirit doesn't tell us everything.
No, I got to tell you, to go back to voodoo for a minute. This just came up. It came up at the right time. This is how to use it. This was in WikiHow, which is so funny. It says how to use a voodoo doll to get what you want. Now, in this depiction, they're not making the voodoo doll evil. So they said you have the doll first. You're basically, the doll is representing the target of your energy, if that makes sense. So it says you envision the person, and then you use a picture maybe on the face of it so you can relate to it more. Then you add you can put pins in it. You can add energy. I'm trying to explain this the easy way. So in this instance, they're taking a voodoo doll and they're doing something good with it. So
pins in the doll are not good.
They're using the doll to
you have to suffer to be beautiful. Is that just came in my head when you're sticking pins in.
But they're using the doll to send positive energy to somebody. So they're sending it to the doll, who is a representation of that. And then they took the pins and they use it to adjust energy centers.
Also like acupuncture.
Yeah. So they're using voodoo doll in a good way. That is pretty cool. I like that.
I'm going to say, feeling into that, that's somebody leading people astray.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because you guys, a lot of stuff that Lorilei and I do is not needed. I studied Holy Fire Reiki, and there's two things we found out that I was really good at in Reiki, and that is I can scan with my eyes and see the stuff. I do scans all the time for people. I don't even know how I learned that either, you guys, but I scan them. They show me a chalk outline of person that looks like they died or something, and it's an outline of them. And then it looks like a laser pointer, all kind of, and they stop at an area and show me where the pain or whatever is coming from. But anyway, oh my gosh, I totally forgot where I was going at that point.
Okay. So you were saying, I said, I concerned, and what I feel in that is it's leading somebody astray. And the reason why I feel that way is, I tried to make the analogy of pins like acupuncture, but no, that doesn't make sense, because with acupuncture, what they do is person that does it is very trained, or they should be, but they're working at different juncture points based on Asian medicine, but they're working with the ki or chi lines. And that's what the theory is behind acupuncture, is there's a disconnect. So they're helping to make that reconnection. That's very simplified. But to me, sticking pins in something, I don't know. I think you'd have to, but I'm just going to say it. You'd have to be pretty freaking twisted to stick pins in anything and think this is for good.
I don't understand. I don't understand that myself.
Hi, Rod. Sandra said my ex-husband Rod is here with me now. He's first-time listener. Welcome, Rod. We hope you'll come back.
First-time listener. And if he doesn't like the show, obviously the last-time listener.
As we're talking about voodoo dolls.
Yeah, we're talking about voodoo dolls. Rod?
Let's ask the audience. What do you guys think?
Rod, if you get a pain in your right arm tonight, it's Sandra.
Sorry?
I said, Rod, if you get a pain in your right arm tonight, it's Sandra. She's poke.
No, but let us know. We're talking about it. We want to hear what you guys think. Like, do you think that you could put positive intention into, we're going to use a voodoo doll, like with what Dave shared? I think it's a cool idea that we're using something that's been associated negatively always. We've all heard of voodoo dolls, yet they're trying to tell you how to do something positive with it. I'm just worried about the pins.
Yeah, but they in the picture, if you look at it, they're sticking the pins in the heart centers as if you were doing acupuncture on it.
Stab
Now,
you in the heart. I love you. I love you. I love you.
why what I was getting to earlier when I said I took Holy Fire Reiki is there is something that I learned in that class. And so for distance healing Reiki, they had us hold a teddy bear. And when I was holding the teddy bear represented the person I was sending the Reiki to, which sounded funny. And I'll tell you how it works, because they sent this girl into another room, and I was in another room, and I had the bear, and I went through my Reiki stuff, and the bear was to represent her. So I went through the bear. I found the pressure points just by putting my hand over it, because I had the connection. And then I did the Reiki on it, and they would go back to her and they'll be like, do you feel anything? She'd go like, oh, my right knee is really warm. And it's like, well, David's working on your right knee right now on the teddy bear. So I don't know how or why that works, but I guess if I can use a teddy bear to do distance Reiki, I guess somebody could probably use a voodoo.
The doll I don't have a problem with. It's the pins, but I'm going to show you. Okay, this is what I use with Crystal Reiki. Bow is optional on the side. Oh, sorry, other side is optional. We call this the gingerbread man or gingerbread girl. I just drew it quick. I'm not that bad of a drawer. But my point is, and then I make lines all through the core to represent your chakras. And I never do Crystal Reiki in person. There is no space and time on the other side. Everything is energy. And I know with something else that I've been taught how to do, therapeutic touch, which is a misnomer because you do not touch the person. I actually took it with my ex-husband. Now, he never really believed in all this stuff, but he was very respectful. And one of the nurses I knew up on the floor when I was having my youngest, Justin, I had such bad back labor and he was sick. And his mom was a labor and delivery nurse. So everybody kept going, oh, poor Earl. That was his name, right? And I'm like, what about me? Lady having a baby here. I didn't say that. I just felt that way. So one of the nurses came in and said, can I use therapeutic touch? And I said, girl, you can do whatever the heck you want to me. I don't care. It took the pain away for an hour and a half. So afterwards, my ex-husband and I talked and he said, we need to take that for your back injury. Maybe it can really help. Anyways, long story short, the first time Earl tried it on somebody, the girl passed out. That's how powerful he was with that. So my whole point is, I don't know what he was intending, what he was thinking. I think he's probably more powerful than what he thought he was. But even with therapeutic touch, like you can use it on animals and people and stuff, the further away you back up with intention or closer or vice versa, right? You can use it. You're basically working on the energy of the aura. With what you were doing, because you were intending it, right? And everything's energy, your focus was the teddy bear is, I don't know if you said the girl's name or not. She was in the other room. Sorry?
Yeah, I just didn't say her name because we're on the air.
Good. Okay, so she was in the other room. So you were focusing that, I'm sure, picturing her, that you're going to be sending this to her. And you can look this up. There's so much science on this to prove. You start getting into quantum physics and things like that. They have tried this, like with 50 feet away. And I think they got as far as 500 feet away, or I think they even went a mile or a couple miles. They kept testing this, and there was no difference. When you set the intention and you were focusing energy, person doesn't have to be in front of you. Same right when we do readings, Dave, they don't have to be in front of us, right? We can pick up the energy.
Yeah, energy transcends space and time. You said it absolutely correctly. That is absolutely perfect. I think though with the teddy bear, because if I were to do, we're gonna read that in a minute. If I were to go, if I were to go have something done, if I were to do Reiki over like the internet here, if I offered a Reiki service, it's difficult for me, even though it can be done. I don't do it like that.
I can.
The object, because my intention is on the object. I use my hands for Reiki, and because Reiki comes through your hands. So I don't know. I guess I'm assuming that when people do Reiki over internet, they're either got some kind of hand position or something. But Reiki comes through my hands, and I know it comes through my hands all the time because I do it to my cats sometimes. I'll call in the Reiki stuff and I'll put my hands next to their butt. And it'll be like 10 seconds and then it will tear off because
Yeah.
Reiki is
It's too
really
strong.
strong on animals. So if you do Reiki on animals, remember you can't hold your position as long as you can for a human because animals are super sensitive.
Okay, so you said you didn't know if we could or not.
No,
I
but I mean, people do. People do. I'm just saying, when I do it, I do my intention on the bear and they can feel it. I've never
Mhm.
tried it any other way, but I know people do it because I have friends who do
Yeah.
Reiki
Mhm.
long distance. So, and it is, like we said earlier, the mind. This is all about the mind, these curses, the Reiki, all this stuff. It's real, it has energy behind it, but it doesn't work unless you have the belief in it.
Mhm. Well, though, where I get to is where people that don't know, like going back to Shannon, what you had mentioned with her buying this dream catcher, and she realized by deduction, her and her husband, that it was only thing new was the dream catcher. Now, when they removed it, everything stopped. So I find though I get hung up is people who never intended, never jumped to anything about a curse. Like I had people trying to tell me in my previous home, I had many things they told me, but I was looking for answers, and then you know, I had that experience like we've talked about on previous shows, Dave, because I think it led me to what I'm doing now. But I had people try and tell me it was a generational curse and it was all kinds of stuff. And without knowing that I was intuitive, I sort of feel into it and go, no, no. Because, I was actually listening. That leads me to somebody that was being interviewed again. I'm not trying to promote this podcast, but they've got some interesting interviews. And it was somebody that was channeling, and they were actually asking people about generational things that happen to people, like a propensity, say, for diabetes, and it runs through a family. And they were actually talking about how you could clear that. Or say you've got a family with severe alcohol issues, that definitely runs on my mother's side, and it has for generations. And they were even talking about an individual looking at this, say they even were the alcoholic, and they knew that there was a long line of alcoholism. Never mind what they believe there's a gene with it, but also that they be given the opportunity. And we see this happen sometimes where they stand up and say, no, it stops here with me, right? It's much more complicated, but again, do we get back to the power of the mind? Somebody standing up with intention and saying, nope, it's going to stop with me. Is that what it takes? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess anything's worth a try. I have a little scary story. It's not real
Well,
scary.
let's do Michelle's joke first. You want to do it? You want to read it? You want me to?
Michelle Pratt, would you go to a voodoo priest who is also an acupuncturist? Do you know what? That's a good
Acupuncturist.
question.
I
Um,
thought it was funny.
it is funny. I
Okay,
don't.
tell the story, the scary
It's probably
story, and then
funnier
you can
because I
read
don't
the
think a
second.
voodoo princess would do the pin thing. Um, what was I going to say? Oh, so anyway, I was doing a paranormal investigation, and I was one of the people who, when the paranormal investigation was done, I slept in the house. And there's some other people with us, but the bed, we were told in one of the bedrooms that there was something happened in the bedroom, but they didn't tell us. But I was sitting on the bed, and when I was sitting on the bed, I felt, and this is where psychometry and energy and all that gets into stuff. I sat on the bed and I just felt all oogie. You know what I mean? Just all of a sudden, I was in a perfectly fine mood and I was anything. I sat on this bed and I felt bound. I felt sick. I felt all these things. And I thought, this is odd. So I took out my notebook and I just started writing all this stuff that I, felt.
Mhm.
And the owner, the next morning I came back and I said, she said, did you sleep good last night? I said, I didn't sleep in the bed because when I sat on it, I got this weird energy. I just got doom and gloom and I just didn't get it. So I slept on the floor. And she goes, that's kind of amazing because one of the gentlemen who lived in that house was very sick and he was very ill. He was mentally ill. And we're talking like 1930s or whatever. they used to tie him to the bed to give him his medicine. And I was feeling the bound and I was nauseous and I was everything. And I'm like, wow, that happened so many times that energy was still in that bed. And we're talking that the sheets are different, that everything's different, but the mattress is the same mattress, and the headboard and the footboard were both the same bed that had always been there. So I guess they can carry this energy. I don't know if I would call it cursed. I guess you could call anything cursed. It's just kind of a word. The definition just means something that's got negative energy to it.
Yeah,
But what
but
do you
then
think?
you look at residual hauntings. I'm going to read Nicole Thomas Ryan's comment first before we move on. We just got two here. She says, I don't see how the pins would work. I think just sending positive energy to the person through the doll would work, but pins, ouch. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt about that. I don't know. I guess it depends how you feel about it.
Look it up on the phone, because what they were showing is they were putting the pins like if you were doing acupuncture on somebody. So instead of doing acupuncture on a person, they were putting the pins in the places on the dial that would work for the human. So doing like some acupuncture points, they can put a needle in there and it undoes an energetic block. It makes it flow again. It's almost like having your arteries scraped.
It's the key. It's the key or the chi lines that they're
Yeah.
trying to create, either remove a block, or sometimes they feel like there's a disconnect, reconnecting the chi lines at certain juncture points within the energetic body is what acupuncture does.
In short, everybody, if I were to send somebody something, one, I would probably try to get their permission, just because it's not good to send people stuff, you know. But I would get the permission and I would just send it. I wouldn't do anything with a doll or anything, because what you guys probably don't realize, not everything takes a ritual to accomplish. So,
No, and I want to add something to that, Dave. For
yeah,
example, I was at my doctor's office a couple of years ago, and there was this girl flipping out, like screaming and yelling and throwing stuff. The whole waiting room was like horrified. And my eldest son was with me, and I had taught him, there's only 15 symbols. It's not complicated, like, say, you said the fire Reiki and things like that with crystal Reiki. And so as I was sitting there, I started sending her healing, okay, healing,
you
positive
said,
energy. So my son texts me, are you sending her Reiki? I said, yes, I am. So he started to. And what I was taught about this, and it could be wrong, but it made sense to me, is that I sent that to her, and her higher self may very well, and rightfully so, say, nope, not for me. Don't
yep.
want it. This is meant to happen. So that energy doesn't dissipate. It's still in the air. And whoever needs it, their higher self can accept it. So yeah, that if it's positive, I think it's a good thing, is what I'm trying to say. I think it will go somewhere if somebody doesn't want to.
Spirit told me a long time ago, even if you send energy to somebody who either doesn't accept it or can't accept it, that energy will
Yeah.
find a good home. It'll still find a good home. So no energy is wasted at
Yeah.
all.
Okay, so Debbie had a good question. I want to add before I read Debbie's, if that's okay. Zach, I think this is a really beautiful thing, and I think we could all do this for one another. You say, I just wanted to put out there that you folks have my permission to send me any positive vibes, and I'll double it by sending some your way. And right back at you, brother, and everybody out there.
Right back at you, Zach, man. I'm going to curse you with $1 billion.
I wish we could curse all of us with $1 billion.
Yeah,
So,
that's a
Debbie,
great curse.
go ahead, Dave. Sorry. I got a real delay tonight because I go to talk because I think there's a pause. I'm sorry, guys. Sometimes that happens.
It's all good. Debbie said, can't that energy be cleared? Which energy?
Well, so what you were talking about with the energy in that mattress and what have you,
Oh,
because what I was going to add was that then you get residual hauntings. There's such a thing as intelligent hauntings and residual hauntings. And residual, a good place where I've heard, I haven't been to Gettysburg, I know Zach has, but you can see evidence of residual hauntings of the battles that went on there. The land still holds the energy, but what you may see, witness, or hear, okay, or a photograph that you may not see with the naked eye, it's just something that happens. It's like a feed loop, if you will, just keeps going and going and going. So do you think that that's what this was? Like it kind of was, but it wasn't a residual haunting. It was residual energy. I think that's what Debbie was asking. Can it be cleared?
Absolutely. It was residual energy because there was never a ghost, and that gentleman was not in the house. I looked everywhere for him. He was not around. But the energy of those certain markers of time while he was allowed was still in that area. Though it was there. It was, to be quite honest with you, it was in the entire room, because when you walked into that room, like, I don't care how I was feeling, I'd walk in there and go, wow, I feel really bad for whoever slept here. I would just get those feelings. So
I guess if they changed the bed and they changed the mattress and you did an energy cleansing, it might, but it depends if there's more, like sometimes there's a portal, sometimes there's an energy, you know what I mean? So sometimes it doesn't clear it.
now, part two to this whole thing is, you know damn well the next night I had to stay there again. I saged the entire room.
Okay, there we go. What happened after part two?
Yeah, I saged the entire room, and you could still feel the energy on the bed, but it was literally a very much lighter in there.
Mm-hmm.
Then if people want to ask this in your head, well, when you sage the room, is that because the intention you put out, or was it the actual sage? It was a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, and then you always get the anomalies where you think you're supposed to try something, do something, it's worked somewhere else, and sometimes it just doesn't. But as I always say, we're not going to know all the answers till we go back home ourselves. Because again, like I said earlier, I know Dave has said this many times on this show, Spirit doesn't always tell us everything. Even if
No.
we ask, if we're not meant to know, they'll say that's just something that
Yeah.
you're not meant to know at this time.
I have
Right?
a guy that I'll ask certain questions, and he says, doesn't matter. And I've learned from experience that, okay, when he says that, it means you probably won't understand it. So yeah, sometimes we're just not here to know things. I know people with like ghosts too, they'll ask you, why is that ghost still stuck here? And then you got to explain to them, well, they're not stuck, but there's various reasons, and they can move on. But
Well, Debbie says she was wondering, can residual energy be cleared? And I wonder why they haven't cleared it yet.
I don't think they knew that. I think because they weren't professional anything. They own this historic house, and see, for people like that, they didn't want the negative energy to go away, because
And a lot of people don't, and because that's kind of their bread and butter, isn't it, Dave? Depending on if someone's going to come and stay and have an experience and document what's going on.
yeah, unfortunately, I stayed in a room where a woman was in, and I got in this room and I started hearing screaming. And first of it was in my head, and it was odd. And if you know what clairaudience is or ever had it, sometimes it's objective, sometimes it's subjective. It's subjective most of the time, meaning that it's coming within. So I was hearing these screamings that were subjective, and when I went to bed last night, that night in that same room, I audibly heard the screams, and they were right next to my ear. And now that, my friends, was not a residual haunting. The woman who stayed in that room, I finally got a hold of her later on. She loved the house, and she was literally giving people what they wanted. And I thought that was really cool. But I didn't tell the other people there that, because I wanted them to enjoy their experience. So there is that discernment. So like we said, when Lorilei said, sometimes spirits give us stuff and sometimes they say no. And sometimes they give us stuff and they go, it's your call.
You know what, though, Dave? I've met many a medium, not many, but I have met quite a few from time to time who have gone into a place and really want, as a paranormal investigator, I know one person in particular that shared this, that you would know who it was, that went in, and she was kicked off of the paranormal team because every time she went in, she ran into cases where people did want to cross in spirit form, being earthbound, feeling they were trapped, and she wanted to assist them. And I think probably the only mistake was sharing with the team that she wanted to do this and help. And they went, no, then nobody else is going to be able to investigate. Nobody else is going to be able to come in. Nobody else is going to be able to do this. And I have seen that many times. Have you heard of that before?
Deb, yeah, I know that happens all the time, and it kind of makes me angry. But Debbie wrote, I wouldn't want energy that made people feel bound or sick, though. That's just bad business. It's different if it's an actual spirit, but residual energy that caused illness, I want that gone. It's true. I mean,
but that's what you want gone. Like Dave said, the owners didn't really want anything messed with, right? You were coming there for an experience.
They didn't want to. They didn't want me to send anybody home. Not that I had the power to send anybody home, because, like I said, that spirit would have to agree with me to leave. But they didn't want any of that. They wanted it to stay scary because that's what they made their money on. I guess I get that, but I'm sure there's probably some spirits who don't know how to get back, and I really wish somebody would help them. And I'm sure the other side does. And there may be spirits, like we said before, that they love it. I mean, if I was a ghost and I knew that people could get scared for me, trust me, little Davy Ghost would be running up and down the hallways going boo, 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 and laughing my butt off, whatever they needed to make them happy.
You know what I saw today? I saw a post, I saved it, and it says, don't come to my funeral or the cemetery. I'll come visit you. That's what made me think of. I threatened my eldest kid with this, jokingly.
That's
kind of
a true statement.
Hmm?
That's a true statement, though.
Well, I was just going to say, with my eldest son and my youngest being severely disabled, I always say, I don't expect you to raise him and keep him for the rest of your life in with you. You didn't make the choice to bring him to this planet. Your father and I did. But I'll be damned if they're either one of your dad or I aren't around anymore. And you're the only person. If you don't check in on him a couple times a week, I swear to God, I will come back and haunt you in your worst nightmares. He knows I'm joking, but maybe I'm not.
Debbie says, oh, I meant if it were my place. Oh, said,
yeah.
If it were my place, I would never do that to somebody else's place.
No,
I understand that. I know you wouldn't. Because you know what? I would one day love to buy some really old dilapidated house that has entities in it, walk through it myself, and make it a place where people can go and get validation that something, instead of getting scared. But I guess, unfortunately, in this world, fear sells. So the more they can make someone scared, the more you're going to get people.
And money, and it makes
positive
money.
Person, it's different.
Well, we are almost out of time here, you guys. We just love the conversation here. I know Dave and I are going to be talking afterwards. We had such great comments and questions. So if you guys like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends about us. There's something for everybody on this network. We have so many new hosts. We've got new shows. And even when we're not live, we have the network running 24 hours a day. So there's always archives from previous shows going. This network has now been around, I'm guessing, probably close to 24, 25 years, because my 4th year anniversary is coming up in July since I've been here. And I know our owner, Joe Montaldo, was saying at that time he'd had this network at least going 20 years. So we've been around a long time.
Oh, yeah. And while you guys, thanks for the conversation, you guys. We love that everybody was on tonight. And remember, if you come on here next Thursday, if you have a topic, you can just type in here, hey, can you guys talk about this? Yes. Trust me, we most likely will. We love interacting with you guys. Now, if you would like to know more about me or find me on social media, you can go to @Medium David Hanzel. I'm on Facebook. I have a pretty big following on TikTok, where I just answer questions all day. My podcast is called Mystic Stew, and my website is theywhispertome.com. And if you want to write to me with any ideas or anything like that, you can go to david@theywhispertome.com. But Instagram and all that, just type in @Medium David Hanzel, you will find me.
And David nor I do not solicit readings from anybody. Just so you know, if you get contacted, it's not us, right, Dave?
No. We don't come to people; they come to us. That's how it goes. And Debbie, Schmoliet wrote something before. It says, "You taught me well, Dave, never without permission." Yeah, I told that story a long time ago. When I used my guides, always had said to me, "Not without permission," which that would tell me, don't just run up to people and throw a reading in their face. Ask for it.
Everything's like that. Now, I want to remind you guys, please stay tuned. Coming up next for their second night, they do 2 nights here. Michelle DeRoche, who is our station manager, and Amelia Pisano, her co-host, they do the Outer Realm. They always have an amazing show, tons of people watching. Make sure you stay tuned. If you ever want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me on facebook.com/The Angel Rock. If you've got a show idea, guest suggestion, we have a ton of guests coming up, guys. I'm going to be finishing up working on that this week. And it's from Monday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, if you do want to get a hold, like to book a reading, mentorship, I do crystal Reiki and all those things, some of the things we talked about tonight. You also can get a hold of me on facebook.com/The Angel Rock. And any show ideas, whatever, everything, just send it there. Also, I have 2 groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for many of the paranormal things, and the Angel Rocker Tribe for many of the spiritual type things we talked about. We just love y'all, and we're so grateful you guys are here, right, Dave?
Oh yeah, you guys, thank you so much for listening to us yap away. And like I said earlier, if you have something you want us to talk about, just let us know and we will go there. This isn't just
to go there.
it's your show as well too. So let us know what you want us to talk about.
So shall we try it again, Dave? Or should we try it? We keep saying if we get it right on time, except I do have a bit of a delay.
So you count to 3 and then I'll just go in.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. What's at the foot of your bed? Almost did it. Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday. We'll see you here next Thursday again. Okay. Have a good one. Much love and light.